Change the agenda.
Okay, yeah.
Change
works
the
for me.
agenda, get the big one up front.
Yeah.
The problem, because it's way down the list.
Okay, works for me.
I did the same thing. Mine will rain.
We'll call this, meeting of the Dalton Woodfield Farnell Planning and Zoning meeting to order. Let the record reflect that we have 3 commissioners present, which constitutes quorum. Turn it over to Chairman Litterdale.
Thank you, sir. First of all, I'd like to, for the record, we do have a quorum tonight. Mr. Pennington and Mr. Barr are absent. Second item on the agenda is to approve the minutes of the previous meeting.
So move.
Chris makes a motion.
Second.
Jody seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Before we get going tonight, we obviously have a lot of people here looking for one particular item on this night, on this agenda, and that is item E, I think. Could I get a show of hands here for the West Brow Development? Okay, thank you. I think that's enough to make a motion. Can I get a motion to move that one to the front of the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. So we are going to hear item E first. Before we get to any of that, Mr. Ethan Calhoun from the Northwest Georgia Regional Office will go over the procedures and requirements for tonight's meeting. Ethan?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ladies and gentlemen, out front on the table, there were a set of agendas as well as opposition forms. And tonight's meeting will be governed by Chairman Litterdale, who will go through the agenda that you see before you on the screen. And for those who have a paper agenda, you can follow there as well. Each item on the agenda will follow the same procedure. And that procedure will be, first and foremost, the Chairman will open the public hearing on the item. I'll come forward to the podium to make a recommendation from the staff to approve or deny. After my comments have been heard, the chairman will ask for the petitioner to come forward. That's the individual requesting to rezone their property, to come forward to the podium and describe their plans or proposal and answer any questions that the Board of Commissioners or Planning Commissioners may have. Once the petitioner's comments have been heard, the chairman will ask if anyone else in the crowd would like to come forward and speak in favor of the rezoning. Once all comments in favor of the rezoning have been heard, the chairman will ask if anyone would like to speak in opposition to that agenda item. It's very important that if you do intend to speak in opposition of any of the items on tonight's agenda, that you fill out one of these forms that were out front. We did run out of the county forms, but we do have another stack of forms for the city. They are noted city and county. The form discloses the same information. Just make a note of the agenda item and that it is a county item if you are here to speak in opposition of a county item. Make sure you fill these out, sign your name, and please print your name clearly. We want to make sure that any comments that you make can be transcribed for the record to move forward. Once the opposition remarks have been heard, then the chairman will give an opportunity to the petitioner or the property owner, person requesting to rezone their property, to come forward and address any of the concerns, the issues that were raised in the opposition's remarks, to see if any of those concerns could be addressed. If no new information is presented in the petitioner's rebuttal, the chairman will then close that public hearing and move to the next item. Once that public hearing has been closed on that agenda item, there'll be no further public comment to be heard on on that agenda item. Given the number of people here tonight, if there are a large number intending to speak in opposition, Chairman may set time limits per individual, and at some point may ask for a show of hands on how many are in agreement with the remarks that have been made to that point in opposition, in order to gather that input from the crowd. Once that agenda item has been closed again, Chairman will move to the next item. That same exact procedure will follow for every item on the agenda. Once all the public hearings have been held, the chairman will then close the public portion of the meeting and move into the regular meeting, which you're welcome to stay for. But during that portion of the meeting, there'll be no further public comment. And that's where the Planning Commission will deliberate and make recommendations that will be sent forth to the Board of Commissioners and to the Dalton Mayor and Council, so that final decisions on these agenda items will likely occur during their regular meetings in October. Mr. Chairman?
Thank you, Ethan. As I said, we've changed the agenda. Item E will go first, and that is to hear the request from Westbrow Development to rezone from commercial C2 to R3, 42.7 acres on 4486 South Dixie Highway in Resaca. This is in the county. Before we start, Westbrow Development representative, you are here? Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Ethan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The request before us here is to rezone attractive land from general commercial to medium-density, single-family residential. Tract totals approximately 42.7 acres, and this proposal is being made in order to combine the subject property with an adjacent tract of land that's already zoned R5 to create a new major subdivision that's going to consist, or is proposed to consist, of up to 169 new buildable lots. So that's the history and the reason for the rezoning request. The rezoning map we can see in this area, largely agricultural and rural residential. And we see that the subject property itself is part of a small commercial island of C2 zoning. When we look at development in this area, we see much less of a commercial nature, as the zoning map would indicate, and much more of an agricultural or lower density, single-family residential character. When we look at the future development map, we see that this is part of the rural neighborhood revitalization character area, and this character area is intended to promote investment in rural areas of the county where development may occur, provided that the development that occurs does not detract or differ greatly from the type of development that is there now. So this is to prevent types of land use that would conflict with the established development pattern. The interesting thing about this case is that the R3 zone district would be the only R3 zone district adjacent to the subject property if we go back and look at the zoning map. But again, the R5 zone district is very common in this area. It is adjacent to the subject property. And the R5 zone district actually allows a lot more opportunity, such as duplex dwellings and manufactured homes, whereas the R3 zone district that's being requested here only allows single-family, site-built, detached residential dwellings. The reason for the request is R3 would allow the same lot density that would be permitted in R5, which with sewer can reach 7,500 square feet. So it creates the opportunity for much more density than what could be accomplished in zones like R2 or GA that we see in this area. When we look at the potential uses for general commercial, of course, that is just about any commercial use that you can fathom is permitted in the general commercial zone district, so this would greatly reduce the potential impact of this property in terms of future development in land use intensity terms. And if we take a look at the proposal from the petitioner, we have here before us a preliminary site plan showing the 169 proposed new lots, as well as their account for stormwater infrastructure, new roads as part of this major subdivision, and 2 points of access to Highway 41 and to Ben Putnam.
I just want to make a mention that with Ben Putnam being a locally maintained county road of a lower level of service or a lower functional classification than the highway, there will likely be required by the engineering department a traffic study for that access on Ben Putnam, because the developer, if this rezoning is approved and were to move forward with their development, are required to have 2 points of access or ingress and egress for a development of this size. And with Ben Putnam, there is a concern for impact on level of service. So any improvements, if there were to be any improvements that would be determined by a traffic study that would need to be made to maintain the level of service of Ben Putnam, then the petitioner or developer at that point would be responsible for any of those improvements. And that would work the same way for any water and sewer extensions. In order to enable this property, that would come at the expense of the developer as well. And of course, this is a preliminary site plan that hasn't made it through full review, so this is a proposal, as we see many times, that until further engineering is done for roads, stormwater, et cetera, this is a proposal with what the petitioner is planning to do, and likely the 169 lots would be the maximum density that could be achieved on this property. With all that, the staff recommendation is to approve, given the reduction in overall intensity and more similarity with the proposed development than certainly than the general commercial zone district. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Is there a minimum house, single-family house, square footage?
I believe that's 1,000 square feet
Size of the house?
of the size of the square footage of the heated square footage of the home.
It's tiny.
1,000?
And that, again, no manufactured homes in that zone district, no duplexes.
Okay, and then on, item E, you referenced that, Ben Putnam would need to be revamped or restructured.
Well, there would need to be a traffic study. If the rezoning were approved and the developer moves forward, they would need to conduct a traffic study in order for engineers to determine what impact the additional traffic load might have on Ben Putnam. And if the engineers, as part of the traffic study, determine,
Let me ask you this then, is there a minimum required square, footage for Ben Putnam access?
The width,
The
the width of the
width.
road.
the width of the road, I believe, is 50 feet for any county road.
And
Right.
Ben Putnam right now is how wide?
In some,
19 feet?
in some places, it's closer, I think, around 20 to 25.
But a minimum would be 50?
For a new
It's
road.
County spec.
That's right away, correct, sir. And any of those improvements, if they were to determine them in a traffic study, would have to come at the expense of the developer.
And then our county engineer would look at that.
Absolutely, that would be part of their review process and part of the subdivision plat approval, because it'll still have to go before to get a preliminary plat and a final plat if the zoning is approved.
Is West Brown, of course, I guess the petitioner can answer this, is West Brown just the developer or is also the contractor for the? Both.
Well, I think the petitioner can answer that.
Well, that's the petitioner.
Ethan, so the slide that you previously had that showed the island zoning there, yeah, right there, and then go to the one that you just passed, the satellite view. Do you have any knowledge on the historical use of that property? It's kind of odd that it's zoned commercial, and it appears to be, in its present form, more of an agricultural residential piece of property. What's the historical connotation that made it commercial in the first place?
Honestly, that was before my time, and I'm not sure what was the reasoning for that. I do know at the time in 1993, when the county first adopted zoning, that a lot of times if people came to request a zone district, there was a certain period of time where they could change before the zoning was approved. And if there was any commercial use across the street or there was any similar ownership, there could be reasons like that, that people sought commercial because there was the ideology that commercial zoning made your property more valuable. So we do occasionally see those islands of commercial where there's not necessarily a current commercial
But as far as
character.
historical use, it appears it's never really functioned as a commercial property.
No,
It's my
we
observation.
don't know that. We don't know that.
Yeah.
Nothing.
No, I mean,
But there could have been a small business that was in an outbuilding or something that, and that's why they requested. Could have been a home occupation that they requested to have commercial zoning for at the time. But I do not have a specific answer as to ultimately why it was zoned commercial.
And Ethan, you may have gone over this, but the property to the left, which is not necessarily, which is R5.
Correct, sir.
Now, in his site plan, it makes him look, it's the same thing through both pieces of property.
That's an excellent point that you raise. Yes, the subject property would exist, or currently exists with two different zone districts. If it were approved, there would be R5 and R3. And those work together because they allow the same minimum lot size. So the portion of the subject property, particularly that accesses Ben Putnam to the west, that's zoned R5, could be developed as it stands without being rezoned. And they would be able to achieve the same lot density and same development. And since they're only affecting, or only needing to change the C2 in order to develop, that's the only thing that they have requested.
But R5 would allow for mobile homes, right?
It would allow for that, but it is already zoned for that.
And there is sewage in this area.
Yes. 7,500 square feet.
So the request isn't to rezone it all to R3, is that correct?
Correct. The request to rezone would only affect the portion of the property that's outlined in red, not counting the western adjacent, smaller tract of land that's part of the property. But
So John, you'd have a site plan that would have two different zonings together. The lot size requirement would be the same. It's just in that western section, they could put a duplex or mobile homes or whatever. They can do that, they can do that now.
yeah,
Well. Okay.
there are no requesting rezoning on the entire red spot. They use, that's on the other side of South Dixie Highway. So that has nothing to do with the request.
Well, if, so they could go on Gene or Ethan, even if that road's not widened, they could still put whatever, mobile homes, duplexes off
No.
Ben Putnam Road?
that's correct.
No.
On the small tract of land that's adjacent to this property.
But that's not part of the request.
That, could you address that?
See,
They own that already, which is
this
R5.
part over here is not included.
I'm curious.
Maybe the petitioner's already done
Yeah.
traffic.
This is with the other part that they own,
Petitioner can answer that.
which is already R5. Go ahead and put the mobile lots on that.
This, yeah.
They could do that now.
Let's call the petitioner.
No further questions for Ethan? All right, thank you, Ethan. All right, the representative for West Brow. Step on up. State your name and address for the record, please.
Adam Levitt, West Brow Development. We're based out of Chattanooga, 3301 Brainerd Road. So we're looking to, again, rezone this piece of property, bring in a really nice community with nice affordable homes. These are not going to be kind of cheap homes, I guess. They're nice looking with brick, masonry, different finishes on them. Where the rezone, yes, we have not done the traffic study yet. That is part of the requirements to get a permit, and it will be done in the future, but obviously didn't want to go down that road and spend that money until we knew if it was going to be supported and rezoned. So, but any improvements like they stated previously, you know, we would be in our cost to go and perform. So we're aware of that and understand that, and we'll work with the GDOT and the county to, you know, make sure that traffic and all that doesn't impact, the community, you know, any more than necessary.
Size of the homes, what would the square footage be, heated?
They're generally, we've got actually, we'll be selling the lots to a home builder out of Atlanta, Smith Douglas Homes. It's not D.R. Horton. But they generally range anywhere from 1,600 to 3,000, just depending on the market and, you know, what the demand is in the area.
So the setbacks between these homes can be fairly tight.
Yes, sir. I mean,
The square footage is gonna be more than what the county requires.
Not required, the minimum square footage,
Yeah,
your
definitely.
development would be more.
everything, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So,
But you are not the contractor for the homes.
Not for the homes, just for the site development. Yes, sir.
Do you know if the developer, I'm sorry, if the builder, is there gonna be an HOA?
Yes, sir, there will be. And they'll have a pool and some other, you know, small amenities, but, so they try to make it more of a community feel than just I guess a lot of homes jammed in one place.
Will they have garages?
Yes, sir. I believe, if I'm not correct, everyone has two-car garages?
So the builder is here also?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
no questions from,
Other questions?
no?
Do you have a proposed takedown from the Smith Douglas?
Yes, sir, it'll be 3 takedowns of roughly 65 homes in each takedown. Roughly 9 months to a year, construction for each phase.
Do you have any floor plans you can share with us tonight?
Need for-
And are you anticipating 169 or?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I believe we're down to 168 because we, for the pool and all that, we took away a lot. In the mailbox cluster.
I think the biggest concern is gonna be the access from Ken Putnam,
Yes, sir.
so let's see if we address that.
And, you know, unfortunately, that can't be addressed yet, but it, you know, obviously through the traffic study that's required. And
They'll be able to
through
the
GDOT,
county,
you
they
know.
have to build more roads.
No, sir.
It's under contract?
Yes, sir.
And would you be okay with it all being R3? Rather than a portion of it being R5?
As long as it didn't delay anything, I guess, I mean, that would be fine with us, yes, sir.
Is the development going to be uniform between the R3 and the R5?
Yes, sir. It'll all be similar home plans. Yes, sir.
I'm not sure.
There will not be duplexes, there will not be, you know, quadplexes, there won't be mobile homes, or, you know, it'll be all single family, no matter what the,
Regardless
matter
of
what
the
the
zoning,
zoning.
the development will appear to be one
correct.
development.
Yeah, the request you're making is for R3, has nothing to do with R5.
R5 is this part.
Part of the existing property is R5, because it's a combined, there's two parcels here. But the R5, again, we're just not changing it just because we didn't need to for our use.
So that's what this is.
But that's already zone R5.
Correct.
Yes, sir. And there was no need to change it for us, because we're
You can still do what you need.
Your lot
still
size is
able
the
to
same.
do,
Yeah.
yes, sir, we're still able to do the single-family homes, so.
Intent, we would have to do an addendum to that and make sure there were no mobile homes.
Yeah, and that would be fine with us to put a condition on that.
Gentlemen? All right, thank you.
Yes, sir, thank you.
Is anybody else who'd like to speak in favor? Ma'am, he's already up.
Matt Shaler with Smith Douglas Homes, and our office address is 110 Village Road, or Village Trail in Woodstock, Georgia. That's our office. I'll just, I'll be happy to field any questions from the home builders aspects. That's who I'm representing, and I brought some handouts that I'd like to leave with, if I can just leave them here, or wherever's good, to let people kind of look through what we're about. But just the quick and dirty on us, we're a large scale builder, but we're still majority family owned out of Atlanta. moving up north and eventually into the Chattanooga market. But we're excited about this piece of property. It's something that we want to build a nice community on. It sounds like 1,000 square foot's the minimum. We'll probably hug around 2,000 square feet on average for the homes. We've got a really wide range of floor plans, but they'll range probably between 1,500 or 1,400 and about 2,500 square feet. We're the type of builder that the buyers can choose floor plans and choose upgrades and, you know, have more choice with their homes other than a lot of the other big builders. We're also, you know, excited about a community atmosphere here. We are gonna, you know, cut some houses out just to provide a pool and a pool house and everything for the residents and the HOA. So that's kind of the community that we see that's gonna be a really good fit here. Like Adam said, it'll be all detached homes, no duplexes, no townhomes, no mobile homes. Obviously, we don't do that. It'll just be all the type of homes I've got on this this pamphlet here. Kind of the last thing about us is we build quick and efficiently, and it keeps the prices down, keeps our costs down. So we try and stay in that affordable range. So the housing that we're trying to bring to this area that's much needed is going to be affordable housing.
What price range will these houses fall in?
That's a great question. It's really early to determine that.
Not holding you to it, just ballpark it. I mean, I get it. I do get it.
I'm sure our sales team would love to say, would have a 2 in front of it. I'm sure they'd love to say the higher 2s, and based on the area, I'm sure that's probably where they're gonna wanna be. Like I said, with our range of houses, you know, we can build a 1,400 square foot, single level home and price it much differently than a 3,000 square foot home next door. That's for a large family. So we will be able to provide a big range of homes, but we try to stay at the affordable mark.
So you're gonna be high 2s, low 3s, mid 3s on the larger ones.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's where we'd like to stay with all communities that we do.
That figure will be for today. You don't know what's gonna be in 2
Right.
years.
Yeah, and like Adam said, it's 3 phases,
Take probably a year to get the project started with.
and then we're gonna take the lots in 3 phases, which are a 9-month takedowns, like Adam was saying. So, yeah, it'll be kind of a 3-pronged approach to getting in there and providing the housing, so. But like I said, I'll keep a couple of these. I'll leave a handful of them up here. It's just kind of an overview of our company and what we're about. And then I'll be happy to answer any questions for anybody too, so.
Thank you.
At what point would the swimming pool be built?
We were shooting for the second phase. That's kind of, that's usually where it falls best because the amount of cost on the front end of the project, you know, to be able to get in there and get some revenue generated, then it's a little bit easier to do the amenities and spend that cost of, you know, we're not getting any return on it. So usually in the second phase, but and the site plan that y'all saw actually doesn't have the pool and the cabana in it.
Right.
It's right in the center of the property was the best spot for it. I can't remember the lot number on what you're looking at there, but right at the 4-way, that's a good spot for it. That's kind of the other part of it. Where that's located and fits well ends up being in the middle of the property, which is probably the second phase, depending on which route we come in. So that's looking like, we'd love for it to be in the first phase, but it's probably realistic.
Have y'all done this type of development with the swimming pool?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What type of swimming pool is it?
We
Is it
do.
fiberglass that's just brought to site?
It's not. We've done a couple different ones, and we've actually, a lot of times the developer provides the swimming pool too, so there's a lot of different type of swimming pools in the community, but I think the one that's laid out on this one is just kind of the standard. I don't know what the exact sizing is, but kind of the standard neighborhood pool, not that little bitty kid pool, but also not your Olympic training pool, you know, so something good for the community, so. And I can give you all a couple of these handouts too.
How many projects do you have in Whitfield County? I've seen the Smith Douglas sign around.
4
Okay.
that are active, probably 2. I know we're doing big development in Varnell. We're developing that ourselves, and then we're right across the road from that one, active already. And then I think we've got 1 or 2 active in the city of Dalton. I might be forgetting one, but we're definitely active in Whitfield County. North Georgia is where, we've have a couple offices. Atlanta's our biggest office, and North Georgia is the most productive area of that Atlanta office. So this is kind of our backyard.
All right. Thank you, sir.
I guess I really have a question for,
Got one more?
Mr. Calhoun. You know, on item E again, you referenced the, 120 lots would not require, would not be required to do an engineering study?
The 120 lots refer to the requirement to have 2 points of access. Because of that, the access to Ben Putnam would prompt the traffic study. in this
Okay.
case.
All right. Anybody who would like to speak in opposition, please hold your hand. Oh, wait. Excuse me?
They're for, they want to speak in favor.
Okay, step on up here.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Afton Skidmore, and my company is the owner of 2.7 acres that me and my father co-own. He's out with 4 broke ribs right now. But anyway, I just wanted to let everybody know that we did care about what happened to this property. We bought the property for my dad to have something to go toward his retirement, and it was important for us that the Brock family be represented well, and we wanted the neighborhood to be happy. I have a lot of other offers. This is getting sold one way or the other, and this is the best option that will be the best for the community. I've got chicken houses from a man from China. I've got powder coat companies where, you know, that won't be necessarily safe for you to breathe in. And this is just going to be a community to allow nice homes, and it will up the value of your properties. And so this really, truly is the best option we're going to get when we sell this land. But I do have 3 backup offers, and they're not as good as this one. They're going to be more problematic for you guys. So I just wanted to say that. So I hope you guys can be okay with this in the end, because it's getting sold one way or the other, and this is basically the best option. And these guys that are developing it, they really care about what they do. And we had a lot of options on who to work with. And my dad just trusted his gut and went with these guys because we knew they were going to create nice homes for the community, and we love our community. That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chris Brock, 239 Ben Putnam Road. To answer your question, Chris, this was my family's land, and it was originally zoned out for an estate. My grandmother set up an estate with my dad and my aunt, and then my dad had his car lot on there. That was one of the reasons for the commercial. So, to answer your question there, but no, there's a lot of things that we were planning on doing with this land. And like Afton said, this is something that was, we always hear something in the south end. Nobody's doing anything to develop the south end of the county. This is a good option for this, bringing a lot of good, nice homes to the south end of the county. And especially with the Carbondale Business Park growing as much as it is, it would just be something good for the community, I think.
Thank you, sir. All right, we're just going to take one more in favor. Okay.
Sherry Brock, 239 Ben Putnam Road. And when we were not considering selling, because normally it's commercial. We didn't want chicken houses coming in, because on the front side of that is still our family. And we're like, we're not gonna let anyone just come in and build just like any type of company, because we didn't want that. They came in, proposed they can do homes and nice homes, and our house still borders on the back there. So that's why I'm like, okay, because I'm like, we're tired of bush hogging. Like, we're not getting anything out of this. So it's just, we're paying taxes and we're bush hogging. So this was actually gonna be a development, which we've looked up, you know, the Patterson Farms looks amazing. And I was like, well, this is very equivalent. And the people on the front side, the McQuaggs and the Red Wines, they love it as well. They were not opposed to it, and they were okay with it. They were like, it looks great, and it's gonna be right up bordering their property as well.
Okay,
Thank you.
All right, opposition. You raise your hand. Lady in green got it up first.
My name is Darlene Morgan. I live at 150 Ben Putnam Road. I've lived there for 30 years. My husband grew up there, so we live on his family farm. And I want to talk to you about Ben Putnam Road. Ben Putnam Road is a dead-end road. We went to the zoning commission, and at most, the road is 19 feet wide. There is no right-of-way. It's from ditch to ditch. There are two 90-degree turns on that road. And on one part of the road, there's a tree that's growing out into the road a little bit, and everybody knows that. So we always, you know, one car has to pull over and the other car has to, you know, go around. So, you know, that's going to impact us greatly because, you know, the road's not wide enough to accommodate, you know, two passing vehicles at one time. And if you do put 169 houses, a lot of people in there are going to come out on Ben Putnam Road because it's more convenient. Well, getting out on Ben Putnam Road is going on 41 Highway. And where we live, if there's anything going on the interstate, traffic, road construction or whatever, it comes off and feeds beside us. So we have to, like, you know, be careful going out. And when you come to the end of Ben Putnam, if you look right, the road goes straight and makes a little dip. Cars come flying up through there, and if you're not careful, you can pull out in front of somebody without meaning to. And, you know, I know that every development has temporary noise, dust, and vibration, but this project, being over 55 acres, would be a lot of noise, dust, and vibration. And, you know, we're used to seeing deer and, you know, it's quiet. Kids play on our street, where if they do this, they're not gonna be able to do that. The road is, like I said, it's only 19 feet wide. It's 15 feet wide where the tree is, and it was last paved in 1999. So it has not been maintained at all. That's why, you know, we object to it coming out on Ben Putnam Road because, you know, and I mean, we love living there. Most of the people that live there have lived there either all their lives or, you know, 30 years. My family, we're on our third generation of living on that street. And, you know, it all sounds nice and wonderful. They're going to do this great residential area for people, that it's going to be really nice for them. But what about us? You know, you're affecting our lifestyle and what we love to do and what we love to come home to. And we don't have a choice because, you know, we're already there. We don't have a choice that, oh, we can go buy in this neighborhood, but we're there. So, you know. So.
Thank you. All right. Who else wants to speak? In the back? Or back in the middle? Either one of you. By the way, y'all have been very good keeping it. We've got a clock here to make sure you keep under 5 minutes.
I'll try my best.
Okay, just let y'all know, we've been pretty good so far. Go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Sarah Zinsmeister. I'm nervous. I live at 129 Ben Putnam Road in Resaca, Georgia. I'm speaking on behalf of my neighbors and myself who live on Ben Putnam Road. My grandparents built the house I own in 1970. It is a beautiful home. We have recently found out about the development. In front of our house, the road is only measured at 17 feet wide. Your average pickup truck like my husband's is around 8.5 feet wide. If two trucks at that width were to cross paths with one another, one would have to pull over and stop so the other could pass safely. On the Federal Highway of Administration states that a two-lane road in the United States is typically about 38 feet wide, with each lane being 12 feet wide. The road is also a half a mile long and is a dead end. There are two blind curves as well. The first curve, being sharp, severely limits your ability to see the oncoming traffic, making it dangerous for both cars as well as the children who play. I have 3 children myself who love to play outside and ride their bikes down our quiet road. Adding a second entrance onto Ben Putnam would cause at least 50% of the potential residents to use our road as their access point. This is if a third of the residents from the new development use Ben Putnam's road due to them living in the area closer to the entrance than 41 Highway. This would cause a traffic jam in the mornings and evenings with people going to work, taking their children to school, and coming home, as there is only one access point for the approximate 34 homes on Ben Putnam Road, which is off of 41. The approximate 34 residents tells us how many vehicles are already traveling in and out of our dead-end street, and that only has one entrance and one exit. The increase in the amount of traffic is going to cause a big issue. As I mentioned, there are a lot of people leaving at 7 o'clock in the morning, as do I. I'm a teacher. Having all the extra traffic on 41 Highway from people that are leaving the development and going north towards the schools, and then people on the Ben Putnam having to wait to get a break in the traffic. There is no other way you can get out except the one way in and one way out. Everyone that lives on this road is trapped, and there is no other way of getting out. If you add a lot of people trying to get out and go onto 41 at the same time, it then breaks it up, causing people to sit in traffic and wait. There is no light, causing people to sit. If they do make an access road and the traffic does back up, then people on our road would probably start cutting through the subdivision to go up to 41 to try to get out. It may cause a backup in the subdivision exit as well. Another issue at the entrance of our road, there's a deep ditch on the south side of the road. Increasing the number of vehicles going in and out of Ben Putnam will increase the number of vehicles potentially going off in the ditch and wrecking. I have noticed when people stop at the beginning of our road to turn onto 41 Highway, they always stop in the middle of the road for safety reasons due to the ditch on the south side. Due to the deep drop-off, you can take a chance on turning in when someone is sitting there or going straight across. It's dangerous for the children that play on our road. The other residents who live on our road agree that we do not want this secondary road connecting to Ben Putnam. We want our road to stay safe as possible, quiet, and with minimal traffic. Another concern that I would like to bring to attention is the number of students the new development would add to our local schools. We currently have 466 students attending Valley Point Elementary, and I'm a teacher at Valley Point Middle, and we currently have 385 students attending. This is located 3.3 miles from Ben Putnam. We also, Whitfield County Transportation will not come down our road. This poses a safety problem already for the students who live on the Ben Putnam Road. It would be an even bigger safety issue to find safe transportation for roughly 160 plus families, not to mention the amount of traffic on 41 Highway that this development will already cause. Will be dangerous for the buses to stop on 41 to pick up all the students. I do want to thank you for listening to my concerns. I ask you to please reconsider the development and especially reconsider not making Ben Putnam an access road. This road is very special to me because of my grandparents and them raising 3 children, and now I get to raise 3 children in my grandparents' home. Thank you. I also have pictures if you would like to look at them.
Let's do them over here. This corner right here, yeah. Yep. Yeah. I'm sorry. I keep thinking this.
Thank you very much.
Very well said, thank you. All right, ma'am, you in the back?
My name is Leslie Jones. I do not live on Ben Putnam. However, I do live a mile up the road, but I also work for the school system. and I drive a school bus. So I drive for Valley Point Middle, and I do see how many buses that we have at Valley Point Elementary. Okay, we have 6 buses there. Every single bus is full of kids. We already have a hard time getting bus drivers in this area as it is. I'm looking at the traffic that it's going to cause. I'm looking at the overcrowded schools, and I'm just concerned about what we're going to do as far as our schools are concerned. Because already it's almost, you just wouldn't believe it how many kids we had, like she said, that we have in these schools. We're going to have another school in the south end, and who's going to pay for that? We are. And this whole thing is just going to cause a really overcrowded area. And I love my community. I lived here my whole life. I live in Sherwood Forest, which is just 1.5 miles up the road. And it's just going to cause a big issue. If you guys are wanting to help the community with that area that's already a C2, why not put a grocery store there for the community? Something to help the community. It's already a C2. Put something there that's going to actually help the community and not overcrowd it. That's all I have.
Thank you. Anybody else who would like to speak? One more person, since we had 4 in favor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. I'm Mike Russell, 250 Ben Putnam Road. I'm going to try to stick with a Whitfield County Joint Comprehension Plan, that this is not following. The site plan doesn't meet any of it, and try to stick along with the staff analysis. As in the staff analysis, this list is low-density, single resident, and agriculture in that area. And there's 3 descriptions in your joint comprehension plan that describes this area down there. The rural agricultural reserve, the rural neighborhood revitalization, and the rural residential. The rural revitalization is what the staff analysis has it in letter F in your plan. I'd like to read a couple of those sentences off this. I'm sorry, I got allergies. The rural agricultural reserve, which is most of this area down there, is predominantly rural, undeveloped land. It's suited for agriculture and large lot residential uses. These development in these areas respect the community's rural tradition and active farms and maintain open spaces. This site plan doesn't do none of that. And in the bottom of the page, under that is there's 10 or 12 bullet points under development patterns. I'd like to read a couple of those. Protect farmland, open space, environmental sensitive areas, minimize impervious cover, and discourage extension of public utilities into these areas, i.e. public sewer. That's in the plan. We didn't make that up. That's wrote in the plan. The rural neighborhood revitalization is what's in, they listed in your rezoning request. And the rural neighborhood revitalization character area encompasses the southern portion of county, east I-75, both sides of the US 41 Dixie highways is right where this site plan is. The character area includes residential uses, primarily low-density residential. Low density, not 169 houses, 3.7 houses per acre. That's what's on this site plan. Like the rural residential character area, development should respect the community's agricultural tradition and maintain its rural open spaces. This site plan doesn't do that. Again, there's 10 or 12 bullet points, the same ones. This says accommodate rural residential at a net density of 1 dwelling per 5 acres. Accommodate low intensity uses and minimize impervious cover. And also, again, it mentions discourage extension of public sewer infrastructure to rural neighborhood revitalization. Next is the rural residential. That's the other kind of property that joins this site plan. The rural residential character area includes predominantly rural undeveloped land that's suited for agricultural, conservation, subdivision, or large lot residential uses. Large lot. 3.7 houses per acre is not a large lot. Again, in the bullet points, it says limit the sewer being pulled down there. There's no sewer in this area yet. It's above Carbondale Road. So they'd have to bring sewer down there. All 3 of these plans in this Whitfield County Joint Comprehension Plan that was approved by the Board of Commissioners on August 23rd, the special call meeting, and accepted. None of this says to build that kind of subdivision in the south end of Whitfield County. This subdivision wouldn't be good in the north end of the county, east or west side of the county. It's just too much, too many houses in one area. The sewer and stuff's not down there, and I totally oppose building this. Also, I have a realtor friend, Mr. Perez can probably, look it up too. But, about 3 weeks ago, the, I have allergies, I'm sorry. The realtors have a program, they can look up how many houses for sale in Whitfield County. About 3 weeks ago, I'm sure these numbers just changed, there was 270 houses for sale in Whitfield County. That included Dalton City. He was able to pull out the Dalton City, there was 178 houses for sale in Whitfield County, north, south, everywhere. He was able to separate the south side, it's called south side, southeast and southwest, and there's 55 houses for sale. So we have houses for sale. This is single-family dwellings, no lots, no duplexes, no commercial. This is just single-family dwellings. There's 55 on south end of county right now for sale. If you'll think back what I said, 178 for sale in the whole county, building 169 in one spot is doubling the housing market in one end of the county. I don't think that'd be a smart idea, the economical impact they'd put on one part of the county. So I hope this board uses the Whitfield County Joint Comprehensive Plan that's approved, and it's a plan for 2024 to 2028. I'm sure y'all are familiar with it, but I hope this board uses this plan to make a decision on this change.
Thank you, sir. Did we do 4?
You can do as many as you want.
Yeah,
But with
we got, if you got, we'll take one more.
new information.
It's gonna be new information, not brought up before. Is this new information, sir? Is it new
Yes.
information?
Yes. My name is Herbert Barber. I've lived at 120 Ben Putnam Road for since 1974. I moved to Ben Putnam Road because it was such a great community. People were so friendly and they all seemed to work together. What concerns me is you put that many houses that you're talking about in one place, you're gonna have to increase our, first responders. You're gonna have to increase, they run them to death. My grandchildren spend a lot of time in at my house. The Muse family ride bicycles and we run, it's just a small community. We're not interested in an influx of housing. We're interested in our community. And we're not interested in hearing sirens coming in right. I'm the second house on the right. And I do not want that much traffic. I know that's repetition, but with all of our children that are up and down the road, people walking on the road, you're gonna take that away from us when you put that much traffic. With all the delivery trucks that's coming out today, you have very few of them, but it's gonna be humongous, tremendous. That's all I got to say. Don't tear up our community. Thank you for hearing me.
Thank you. All right, we're gonna offer rebuttal from the developer. Do you have anything you'd like to answer on rebuttal?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. That said, we're gonna move on. We have, 9 more to deal with tonight, so. First one is really going back up to item A, which is Robert Keck is seeking to rezone from general commercial C2 to medium density R3 parcel of land at 1428 Cleo Way. That is, believe it or not, that is in the county, right?
Yeah.
That's, yeah, it's hard to believe it's not in the city. Robert Keck, are you here? Yes, I am. Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Ethan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The request being to rezone from general commercial to, in this case, medium-density, single-family residential, very similar to what we saw a moment ago in the nature of zoning. And when we look at the zoning map with the subject property, which currently exists as a residential property, and this request would bring the subject property into a conforming status. So in looking at the zoning map, we can see that the subject property is located in this commercial area, general commercial zoning and neighborhood commercial across the street to the west. When we look for some other areas that we can see around the property for a point of reference, we do have the 911 center, county 911 center, and the county jail adjacent or in immediate proximity to this property. But when we look just south along Clio Way, we do see a larger pocket neighborhood there with low-density single-family and rural residential zoning and development. When we looked at the zoning map, we saw this large commercial district that engulfs the subject property and most all the surrounding properties. When we look adjacent to this property with existing land use, we see residential to the north, and we see some undeveloped smaller tracts of land to the south. And again, we see the residents down to the south, southeast of the subject property. Closer look again here, you can see the existing building on the property. The former use of this, I believe, was a bondsman office operated there, but the original use of this property was a single-family detached dwelling. It was converted at some point to an office space, and the petitioner is proposing to bring it back into residential use as opposed to commercial. When we look at the future development map, we see it's within the medical district of the comprehensive plan. The future development map, that district, of course, solely is intended to provide opportunities in the medical district for medical uses or some ancillary medical uses, pharmacies, medical supply, et cetera, and support businesses for the hospital and other medical offices. Housing is also part of this medical district, housing aimed at generally serving the needs of the hospital and other medical offices in this area. So this would, of course, create opportunity for housing. And again, based on the commercial zoning of the area would indicate, or the zoning map, that this area is all commercial. But again, when we look at the subject property, its history, and some of the adjacent properties, even to the north and the south, we do see this as part of a semi-residential area. There are some pocket neighborhoods. So the recommendation from staff is to approve the rezoning as requested. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Here, gentlemen. Thank you, Ethan.
Thank you.
Mr. Keck,
Yes.
could you please come up?
I'm sorry?
Could you come on up? If you have anything you'd like to add, if not, you can say, I agree with what he says.
I pretty much agree with what he's had to say.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's good enough.
That's all we need.
That is?
Just needed to be
Okay.
present.
Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody else like to speak in favor? Anybody else like to speak in opposition? Well, that closes hearing on that request. Next one is Appalachian Builders to rezone from R5 to R7, 0.5 acres along Roosevelt Drive. Somebody from Appalachian Builders here? Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Ethan. This is in the county.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The request to rezone from rural residential to high-density residential, R7. We can see the subject property, again, just under 1 acre in size along Roosevelt Drive. This property is currently undeveloped, and the request would enable the petitioner or future developer to develop the property with up to 5 duplex dwellings in their original proposal. What we see here in terms of zoning is convergence between the residential R5 zone district and the general commercial. We also see some other zone districts in this area, particularly to the west. We see the R7 zone district as well as the R3 zone district. It is worth pointing out that the R5 zone district that the property is currently zoned as, and most of the adjacent residential properties or nearby residential properties are also zoned R5. R5 does permit outright duplex dwellings at 1 duplex dwelling per tract of land. So this proposed use would really not alter the overall character of the subject property, but would increase the unit per acre density that could be achieved on this property. We see here it's adjacent to general commercial, and we see the sort of flagpole-shaped of the subject property, and its access on Roosevelt Drive, again, undeveloped. We also see a number of duplex dwellings just to the southwest, very nearby, as well as some apartments over to the west. So we see a multifamily character in the area. Again, we can see some undeveloped land. And we are in this, again, transitional convergence of commercial and residential. We do see in the comprehensive plan, this is within the town neighborhood revitalization. This character area's primary intent is to promote residential development and investment in aging neighborhoods. And this request would not create a development pattern or character or really a density that's unlike what is already established in this area. So we don't see any conflict with the comprehensive plan in this rezoning. And with all that in consideration, the petitioner has also placed or given us a sort of preliminary site plan that you can see there. It is worth noting that while they do propose 5 duplex dwellings, you can see they're also proposing parking and impervious surface. We do not see stormwater accounted for on this site plan, so the need requirement for stormwater infrastructure will most likely reduce their potential units per acre. So it may be less than what has been proposed. But of course, that would all be handled through stormwater management and through further building codes if the rezoning were approved and if the development were to move forward. I'd be happy to answer any questions. Staff recommendation is to approve.
Gentlemen? Very good. Thank you, Ethan.
Thank you.
Appalachian?
Hey, my name's Cody Spence. I'm the owner of Appalachian Builders, and I think you pretty well summed it up. We're just looking to get the highest and best use of the property and to increase the number of units on the property. Nothing really special or out of the ordinary, and we'll comply with whatever stormwater requirements there are.
Very good. Gentleman back there? That's all we have.
All right?
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anybody else would like to speak in favor? Anybody like to speak in opposition? Come on up, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Hello, my name's Aurelia Moreno. I too am a little nervous, don't like perfect speaking. I live on Bonnie Oaks Drive, and it's right up the road. Can you change the picture to the one that shows more of the community? Oh, yeah, that's good. Yeah, that one right there, you cannot see the elevation. The way it's situated is, when you're coming up, you're on an elevated height on a low ground, and you're coming up on an absolute 90-degree angle. When I'm walking my dog, when I see my neighbors walking around, I've had to duck and roll a couple times. It is not a safe area for ingress or egress. If you look to the side a little bit more, where they were talking about the duplexes that are already there, that is a very common site for car accidents. I've had to render aid. I am a paramedic because people just fly, and it's another 90-degree angle. So when you're talking about ingress and egress for EMS, police, fire, it'd be very hard to get in and out consistently. Also, as you can tell in the picture, there are commercial buildings there. So when you get their commercial trucks, these roads are about 19 feet wide, very, very narrow. So when you're having to walk, like I walk my dog when I get out of work, it's 6 o'clock, it's already dark. It's not safe. That area, if it's gonna be developed, like I know it's gonna be, I would prefer less units, less traffic, less danger for the people that are already walking there. Just 1 second. People that have, that live there, live on homesteads with low density populations. There is an elderly lady there that has a lot of sickness, and she even has a sign that says quiet. There is quiet sickness. I'm also here to speak on her behalf. She couldn't make it this afternoon. But I would prefer less dwellings there just for the safety of the area that you're looking at. If you're looking at it just from the top, it looks very calm, it looks very safe, but again, when you're driving up, it is a 90-degree angle on a 90-degree angle, and when you're trying to even get onto Roosevelt Drive, that is yet another 90-degree angle. Sometimes people will loop around and get lost, basically. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else like to speak in opposition? I think we need to rebuttal on that. Going to close that request. Next request is from Michael Stafford, seeking to rezone from M2 to R5 at tract of land, 0.49 acres at 2218 Abutment Road. Mr. Stafford, are you here? Yes, sir. All right, thank you. Go ahead, Ethan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The request before us is to rezone the subject property from heavy manufacturing to rural residential. And the subject property currently contains a single-family detached dwelling that, of course, is in non-conforming status. The petitioner's request is, again, to be able to bring the subject property into conformity. We see many times these issues with being able to sell properties and obtain mortgages and things to that nature where we have non-conforming single-family dwellings. Non-conformity would not, of course, affect the ability to live in the subject property or utilize the subject property as it has been in perpetuity or make any necessary improvements. But we see here we have a large district of heavy manufacturing. We also have the general commercial zone district adjacent to the subject property very consistently. If we look just to the northeast, we'll also see the rural residential zone district and the high density zone district as well. We look at the subject property, it's part of a small island of either undeveloped small tracts of land or a few tracts that are used and have been developed for residential use for many years that have not been developed for industrial or commercial use. It's another part of a small pocket neighborhood. And so the subject property is on the periphery of that little neighborhood. It is adjacent, again, as you can see, this area is largely surrounded by the industrial and commercial developed area. This is in a very industrial area. So closer look at the subject property, again, we have a convenience store across the street as well as, again, adjacent industry. But you can also see some of the undeveloped tracts. One thing to point out is the fact that the subject property is too small for any kind of heavy manufacturing to occur on. And there are several other properties that are adjacent in this area. So the subject property is not itself an anomaly. There are some others that are adjacent or in immediate proximity that make up somewhat of a contiguous pocket neighborhood. And even though the subject property is within the industrial character area, it is likely that because of the broad scope of the Joint Comprehensive Plan, that this property and those other residential properties that make up this pocket neighborhood were not noted in the comprehensive plan, but we do see very near the subject property, within probably 200 feet, we can see on the map that yellow color, which is the suburban neighborhood character area just to the east. So we do see that there are areas that were intended to remain suburban neighborhood, and that would, of course, reflect the character that we see on the subject property. And again, given the broad nature of the Joint Comprehensive Plan in these transitional areas, it's reasonable to make the statement that this pocket neighborhood was likely overlooked in that process. And based on the existing development, the adjacent properties, and the nearby suburban neighborhood character area being in this transitional area, staff recommendation is that the proposed rezoning for R5 can be approved. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Appears to be none. Thank you, Ethan.
Thank you.
Mr. Stafford?
I lived at that address. My name's Michael Stafford, till I was 16 and moved. And I've tried to sell it, but like he said, it's too small for any kind of development. And my daughter's living down there now, and she wanted to get it rezoned. And I told her I'd try to do it.
Thank you. Anybody else would like to speak in favor? Anybody like to speak in opposition? Very well, we'll close public portion on that request. The next request is to hear from Noe Sagala, hopefully I'm saying that first name right, to rezone from M2 to R5, 0.38 acres at 511 Laster Drive. This is also, is this in the county, Ethan?
City.
It says county one place and city in the other.
This is in the county.
This is in the
I
county?
apologize if it says that on the staff analysis.
Okay, so this is in the county.
Yes,
Go
sir.
ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The rezoning before us here is to rezone again from heavy manufacturing to rural residential. We have here again a very similar situation to what we just saw. We have the subject property being of a very small size, less than 1/2 an acre. The former use of the property and current use of the property has been residential, and the petitioner is requesting to rezone in order to be able to replace the older manufactured home on the subject property with a newer manufactured home. As opposed to the zoning map, which would indicate the area is entirely manufacturing, we see here that there is a small pocket neighborhood, very similar to what we saw in the previous case on Laster Drive. And we do see that neighborhood here closer up. We see manufactured homes within this neighborhood, including the former use of the subject property for manufactured home and residential use. So we wouldn't see any type of change in character to the subject property, nor a disruption of the character of the established neighborhood that surrounds this subject property. Again, we have here a similar situation where the Joint Comprehensive Plan noted this area to be within the industrial character area, but again, within a few hundred feet of the subject property, just to the north, northeast, we see the suburban neighborhood character area that was able to capture a neighborhood just to the north, very similar to the subject property. The subject property was not identified on the future development map as suburban. This again was likely an oversight due to the limited size of the subject property on the overall county's area during the comprehensive plan update. With this being an area transition with a long-standing residential use and no proposed disruption of the established character, the recommendation from staff is this rezoning can be approved with no issues and no negative impacts to the surrounding neighbors or property owners. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
That's it. Thank you, Ethan.
Thank you.
Noe Sagala?
Hi.
Say your name right?
Yeah, Noe Sigala. I'm sorry, my English is not very well, but I'm here to help him. As he say, all he wants is request from heavy manufacturing to a residential. That's all he wants. because he want to build a house for his family. And right now, they don't let him build anything. So it's all he requesting.
Are you taking out, removing a home? Are you taking away an older home, putting a new one in?
It's what he trying to do maybe, or he maybe wanna like rebuild the house because it's a mobile home right now there. He wanted to like make it bigger.
Fix it up?
Yes.
Okay. So, any other questions? Questions from behind you? No questions? All right, thank you. Very good.
Thank you.
Does anybody else like to speak in favor? Anybody like to speak in opposition? Very well. Close the public hearing on that request. Next one is Derek Hicks is seeking to rezone from R5 to GA parcel of land, 9.97 acres at 1595 Mount Vernon Road. This one is in the county. Derek Hicks, are you here? Thank you. Ethan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The request, go to the correct. All right, Derek Hicks. So here we are with the subject property and its request to be rezoned from rural residential to general agriculture. The request was made in order to be able to build a covered equestrian arena-style building, so basically an agricultural accessory use. There's already a barn on the subject property, so this would be an addition to that. Because the subject property does not contain a single family dwelling or residential dwelling, first, they would need to get the property zoned agricultural in order to do that, to build accessory buildings without a dwelling. The only zone district that we allow that in that would fit the need of the petitioner would be the general agriculture zone district. And so that is the reason they are requesting to rezone the property. It totals just under 10 acres in size, so it certainly exceeds the minimum lot size to be eligible for general agriculture. And when we look at the zoning map in this area, we see the rural residential zone very consistently that the subject property is within. But if you'll note on the zoning map, very near the subject property to the west, we have a large general agriculture zone district. So this is an area transitioning from larger lot agriculture to the rural residential. What we see on the aerial photograph for existing development is that, again, we're sort of at a convergence between densities. We see mostly all residential land in this area, but we see that convergence of agriculture, larger lots, and the smaller suburban type lots as you move to the east and the south. Subject property itself, again, existing development, is that there is a barn on the subject property. There is not an existing home on the property. So again, the proposal will be proposing another agricultural accessory structure similar to the barn that's there now. Here we see it's within the emerging suburban character area of the Joint Comprehensive Plan. Now these areas are intended to represent areas of the county where additional housing development can likely occur due to available building land and proximity to utilities and transportation network. We do see, again, very near the rural residential character area. It's another area we're sort of in transition between agriculture, future suburban, and existing suburban. And the subject property is right in the mix of that convergence. So what this rezoning would do ultimately is limit the overall density of the subject property, would allow agricultural uses to occur on this property, and would limit to specifically single-family detached residential if that were to ever be added in the future. With all that in consideration, there is a fair amount of topography on the subject property that would likely make any sort of operation like commercial poultry or something intensive that could create an issue for any of the adjacent residential neighborhoods. Would likely make that not prudent for the developer or for the property owner to develop in that manner. However, if there is a need for that condition, that could certainly be a condition applied to this rezoning, since the subject property is not adjacent to agriculturally zoned property and is entirely surrounded by residential. But with all that in consideration, the staff recommendation is to approve as requested. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
No questions? Thank you, Ethan.
Thank you.
Mr. Hicks?
We just want to really build a barn. That's what it's about. No chicken houses. We are not chicken farmers. And if you need to put that in there, that's fine. So,
Is, you gonna maintain horses there?
yeah.
Yours?
No, my wife's.
Anybody else besides your wife?
No.
Okay.
So that's all it is, a barn. That's all it is. So,
Good deal.
Okay.
we good?
Very good.
Very good. Thank you.
Smart man.
Anybody else like to speak in favor? Anybody like to speak in opposition? Very well. We will move on to the next request. To hear from Stephen Ridley, seeking to rezone from R2 to R5, attractive land, .62 acres at 222 Roberts Drive. This one is also in the county. Mr. Ridley, you here? Okay. Ethan?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The request we have before us is rezoning from low-density, single-family R2 to rural residential. The property itself, just a little over a half an acre along Roberts Drive, and the property is currently undeveloped. The petitioner's request is in order to be able to place a manufactured home on the subject property as opposed to a site-built dwelling. The only permitted uses in low-density, single-family residential are site-built, single-family detached dwellings with a minimum of 1,200 square feet. The R5 zone district would permit manufactured homes, which would allow the request of the petitioner. We see the subject property is within the R2 zone district. We can see that's a larger consistent district on the zoning map. We see the subject property is also adjacent to the R5 zone district immediately to the east across the street. We also see R5 to the north, see heavy manufacturing, general commercial, and much higher density as we approach Donville Road to the north. So that's a point of reference for everyone there. You have Donville Road with a lot of density just there to the north. So we see existing development, suburban style for the most part. Again, the subject property itself being undeveloped, adjacent to other residential properties in this location. We do see across the street, we see manufactured homes in this area, particularly over in the R5 zone district. But those are not uncommon throughout this area and adjacent to the subject property. We can see it's within the suburban neighborhood character area, which is intended to protect the integrity of established suburban neighborhoods in the county. And the proposed rezoning, again, would not create a lot density or a zone district or a development pattern that does not already exist within this area. We do not believe this would have a negative impact on the established neighborhood and recommend that the rezoning be approved. I'm happy to answer any questions.
No? Thank you, Ethan.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Ridley?
Hello. I'm Steve Ridley, live at 220 Roberts Drive. And I'm kind of like the other fellow. It's just not just a barn, it's just a trailer that we used to have one right beside of us. And it was mine. And my wife's sickly, and I'm a disabled veteran, and I have to take her to the doctor a lot. And sometimes I can go and sometimes I can't because I have appointments of my own. And what we need is the trailer there for my son to move in to where he could help us, you know, help take care of my wife. That's basically it. There's trailers all around me, trailer park across from me. I had a trailer there 5 years ago. We moved it. After you moved it, sometime or another, they rezoned it, I guess. I must have been asleep for that month or something, but anyway, that's all I have to say.
It didn't affect you at the time, so.
No.
Any questions? No. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anybody else would like to speak in favor? Anybody like to speak in opposition? And we'll close the public portion on that request. And the next one is Angela Langley to rezone from R2 to GA, parcel of land 26.96 acres at 1185 Mount Vernon Road. This one is the last one I have tonight in the county. Ethan? Ms. Langley, you here? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have another request here, this time to rezone from low-density, single-family residential to general agriculture. Another larger tract of land this time, just over 26 acres. And the request in this case is to take the subject property, which currently contains a single-family detached dwelling, and be able to have the petitioner have the opportunity to apply for a conservation easement or CUVA, and they need the agricultural zoning to accomplish that. And when we look at this subject property and we look at the zoning map, we see again this is in one of those transitional areas from general agriculture to more of the suburban or the low-density residential development. Subject property's character has long since been larger lot, low density, more of an agricultural or rural character, more so than a suburban type. And you may remember this area along Hilton Road. We had a rezoning a month or two ago come before us with a very similar request to bring those properties back into more of an agricultural character, being of a larger lot and a more rural character than the R2 zone district. So this request would be very similar to what we have already seen. Again, we see the general agriculture district just to the west. It's adjacent also to the east. Subject property, we can see mostly forested, small amount of pasture. Getting close up, there's a fair amount of topography. Also, the pond on the subject property, again, creates considerable challenge for any type of commercial agricultural operations such as commercial poultry. So we don't believe that that is a concern for this location in terms of impacting the existing residential properties that we see adjacent to the subject property. Again, if that is a need as seen by the Planning Commission or Board of Commissioners, that is a condition that can be applied reasonably in a case like this. With all that being said, future development map, suburban, emerging suburban, but again, historical character, existing character of the property, and the desire of the petitioner is to remain that low density and more agricultural environment. And of course, conservation easement would restrict any development on the subject property for at least 10 years, at which it could be renewed. Or if it's ever to be developed in the interim, there would have to be a certain amount of back taxes paid if that CUVA is ever to be broken within less than 10 years. So this would essentially lock down the subject property into a conservation as it currently exists. Recommendation is to approve from the staff. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
None? Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Langley?
I'm Angela Langley. I live at 1193 Mount Vernon Road. The property is on 1185. I know he said a single dwelling home, but it's a renter house, so I've already had it pulled out of that parcel. So that parcel at 26, a little over 26, is just the land. So the rental house is on its own parcel now. This property, I'm kind of like him, was ag for years. It's been in my family for over 100 years. It's what's left of all the land that we had. I'm not real sure when it got changed to R2. I know our family didn't do it. I heard Gene said back in 1993, they did a lot of changes, but my family being older and we're living in Florida, I'm sure they weren't aware of it because they rented it for a long time too. I have just gotten the property the last year and a half in my name. Like another fella said earlier, it is a large parcel of land that we mow and pay taxes on. So I want it back to agriculture so that I can look at any kind of grants or anything that may help me sustain this piece of property. I don't necessarily want it limited because I don't have a clue what I'm looking at. I mean, it's been in our family for a long time, but it is now in my hands. So I don't know what I want to do with it or don't want to do with it. It was up for sale at one point, and I took that down. I don't necessarily want to sell it anymore because I want to try and get it back to its original agricultural zoning, just agriculture, so that I can see what I want to do. I know that with a lot of those stipulations, you can't put a lot of different livestock things on there. I don't know what to do yet, but I really want to look into the grants to see what is available for me. I have a considerable amount of land. It's sitting there, and like I said, it has been ag for a long time. I'm sure there's going to be opposition on both sides, which I can be empathetic to stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it's 26 acres that I pay taxes on. And I, and personally feel like I should be able, as long as within reason, should be able to do what I want to with the land. It is my land. It's got a pond on it and different things that I would really like to continue to bring it back up to original ag, that it used to be years and years ago. So that's my goal with it. But again, I know I'm very vague because I don't know what grants and stuff are out there because I'm not even going to look at them until I can get it changed over because it's there's no reason to until I get it changed. It is an R2 right now. Again, I don't know how it became that, but it is what it is, and I would like it changed back to the regular general agriculture that it has been for many, many years prior to 1993.
Okay.
And that is my request today.
Ellen? All right, thank you. Anybody else would like to speak in favor? Anybody like to speak in opposition?
You notice I just popped right up there and didn't wait on anybody else. I think I'm the spokesman for our group, so I won't take up a lot of your time. I'm Julia Davidson. I live at 1243 Mount Vernon Road in Tunnel Hill. My property is right next to the property that we're talking about now. The people that live there, we have absolutely no opposition to this being changed to general agricultural, because I know she wants to get the conservation credit for her taxes. No problem there. What we would like to do would be to have this as a general agricultural conditional with them limiting them to, I think what y'all call no concentrated feeding operation for poultry or swine. Years and years ago, I've lived in that area all of my life. And many years ago, Angela's grandfather had chicken houses on that property. And it was unbearable to live that close, although there's 20 acres. The chicken houses was on the cleared land, not the forested part of the property now. And it was really, really difficult to live next to that. If we could get that condition put on the general agricultural request, that's what we ask for. No more, no less. So we would appreciate any consideration that you could give the people that live in that surrounding area. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody else like to speak in opposition? Very well. Ms. Langley, would you like to rebut or answer? Answer to what she requests, the conditions?
I hear the request, and I can be empathetic to them, but I don't want to limit anything. I don't know. That was 30-plus years ago. I worked them. I know that they also had a swine farm. We had cows. We had everything. It was a working farm. I also had agriculture where we had all kinds of corn and everything, potatoes. So it has always been a farmland, a worked farmland. I get Julia's concern, and I hear it. I don't know what I want to do with it, but I don't want to put any kind of restrictions on it. It's agriculture. There's no telling what kind of grants or loans I may be able to get out to do with the property. And it is 26 acres. It's a lot of land. So, you know, I don't know. I don't know what to say. I don't really know what I want to do, but I don't want a committee or surrounding people to tell me what I can and cannot do with 26 acres that I pay taxes on every year. That's my only thing. I get that there's issues, and there's always going to be an issue with somebody somewhere with something. But at the end of the day, it is my land. It's a total of 28 acres because the two houses are on several parcels. And I would like to see what is out there for my land in general ag with no restrictions.
All right, thank you. All right, that said, we're going to close the hearing on that, which closes the county portion of this meeting, and the commissioners will be leaving us at this time. Anybody else who's getting antsy, feel free to leave. We do have two more items that are in the city of Dalton we need to review. All right, let's make it, those of you who would like to leave, quickly and quietly, please. Either stay or go. Yes, if you like. You can stay and listen, or you can go. Yeah. All right. Let's go loud and say this one is in the city. Crow Holdings, Inc., LLC is seeking to rezone from M2 to R5, tract of 1 acre located along Waring Road. This one, again, is in the city. Ethan? Crow Road Holdings, you are here, right? Crow Road? Oh, there you go. I thought I saw you. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The request would be to rezone from heavy manufacturing to rural residential. The tract approximately 1 acre in size along Waring Road. Property is currently undeveloped, and the proposal, as stated on the application, is to construct a single-family detached dwelling. When we look at zoning in this area, we see the subject property is, of course, within the heavy manufacturing zone district currently, and we look to the south and the east, and we see the high-density residential zone district, and of course, to the east, that development would be the North Oaks development that many may be familiar with, condominium, high-density residential. So this request would change the subject property if it were approved to R5. There are no adjacent R5 zone district or zoned properties. But again, we do see the R7 zone districts. There's already a residential and even a multifamily zone district in this area. So the uses that are permitted in R5 would certainly fall in alignment with the established zoning and development in this area without introducing any sort of a character that would be dissimilar to what already exists from a zoning standpoint. We do see it is within the city of Dalton, also adjacent to the unincorporated county, and here we see development-wise, again, currently undeveloped. There are some other undeveloped or lower density residential properties along Waring Road to the north and the south of the subject property. Again, closer look, we can see the multifamily building to the south, single family to the north, and then of course over to the east we see the North Oaks community. This is within the suburban neighborhood character area, and that character area, again, is intended to protect the integrity of established suburban residential neighborhoods. And again, this rezoning, the zone district that's being proposed, would not be in any sort of conflict with the established development pattern with any of its permitted uses based on manufactured homes, single-family site-built dwelling, or even a duplex based on the established pattern of development, being high-density residential and manufacturing in this area. Recommendation from staff is the rezoning can be approved as requested, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
You said his proposal was to build just one house?
Single-family home, correct, sir.
No other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Brandon Harrison. I don't really have anything to add to that, but I'll answer any questions you have. There's a residential above it, house, there's below it a fourplex, I believe, 3 or 4-plex. And I just wanted to, it's manufacturing, it's not at all, in my opinion, congruent to what is around it.
It's going to be a stick-built home?
Maybe more than one,
Build more than one?
Yeah.
Okay.
maybe. I haven't got the final, final survey on it, but.
Okay. You got a little over an acre, maybe?
Mm-hmm.
Anybody? Chris? All right, thank you. Anybody else like to speak in favor? Anybody like to speak in opposition? Come on up.
I'm Sandra Jameson, and I'm here with several members of North Oaks Condominiums. And we would just like to confirm that it's just going to be a single home and not duplex or manufactured homes.
It will not be manufactured homes.
What about duplex?
Possibly could be a duplex, but
How many?
as many as I can get.
That's what I thought.
Wrong answer.
We're in opposition of that.
I mean, it's only, there's not as much road frontage, you can't split it too many times. I mean, it might be 3 lots, or it might be 4, but that's the music.
So how many duplex do you think you
Well,
can?
you could, I mean, it's not, if it's R5, you could put a duplex per lot. But everything will be coming off Waring Road, it would be, and it's, the zoning it is now, what you can do there is vast. I think it's not good.
Okay. But that's zone city, correct?
Yes, it'd have to, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
It is on the city. I'd have to get, I'd have to do a stormwater, shore road plan that the city requires,
Okay.
as far as that goes.
We thought it was just a single-family home.
And that's, I mean, that's not the plan, no, ma'am.
All right, thank you. Anybody else like to speak in opposition? All right, it seems you've already rebutted, so that will close public portion on that request. And our last request is also in the city. This is Cody Spence. Are you here? Okay. Seeking to rezone from R3 to R5, 0.25 acres along Northview Drive. Ethan?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The request before us to rezone from R3, medium-density, single-family residential, to rural residential.
Can I just cut in? Where is this located? Northview or Cumberland?
This one would be located along at 801 Cumberland Drive.
Okay.
Your presentation says Northview.
Yeah,
That says
presentation.
Northview Drive.
The map shows Cumberland.
Right, and the map, the location of the subject property is 801 Cumberland Drive. This request was made with the subject property being at exactly 0.25, or 1/4 of an acre. Currently, it is undeveloped, and the petitioner's request is in order to be able to develop this property with one residential duplex. We see here the subject property is within this community, entirely surrounded by the medium-density R3 zone district, with very little, if any, disruption in terms of zoning throughout this entire neighborhood. And the potential to rezone the property to R5, the request and the potential for the R5 zone district to change the character of the property is that it would introduce an opportunity to build multifamily, or in this case, a duplex dwelling, a single duplex dwelling on this property. Again, all adjacent zoning and for some distance is restricted solely to medium-density, single-family, detached residential. And when we look at the development pattern, we see that the adjacent developed properties all fall within that character. Again, we can see that up close here. Here we see that the subject properties within the town neighborhood revitalization character area, which we saw previously, again, that character area is intended to protect the values of the existing neighborhoods and to promote investment into those neighborhoods, provided that the investment within these residential areas is respectful or reflective of the established density or development pattern or character of those neighborhoods. And with this request and the specific proposal to build a duplex, this would disrupt not only the zoning map and create an entering wedge for additional duplex or dissimilar development, it would create a dissimilar island at this location in terms of land use, from single family to multifamily. And because it's not necessarily in what we would consider a transitional area, didn't give grounds for consideration from the staff's perspective for approval. So the staff recommendation for this rezoning is to deny, and I would be happy to answer any questions.
Looks like a none. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Spence? Comments?
Yeah, back again. So the property, whenever I purchased it, it had a condemned house on it, an old dilapidated house, been there for years, that the code enforcement had a label on to be tore down. So I think it sat there in the previous owner's possession in pretty rough shape, so it's tore down. I would like to get the R5 zoning to build a duplex. I mean, anything I do is gonna be an improvement to the property, given the state that it was in when I got it. So if I get it, great. If not, it's not the end of the world. I can build a house, but I would prefer the R5.
Just going for the highest use, right?
Do what?
Going for the highest use.
That's right.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks.
Anybody you'd like to speak in favor? Anybody like to speak in opposition? It's said, that closes the final request for the public portion of this meeting. We will now go into deliberations in closed meeting. You're welcome to listen, but you will not be able to interact with us. Okay, let's go back to the beginning. Robert Keck.
We're going with the original agenda order.
Oh, okay, let's just jump over. Let's jump down to West Brow. You're right. West Brow Development,
Tough one.
tough one. Lots of homes, 3 phases. I mean,
Gene, based on what you know about what a traffic study may unearth regarding Ben Putnam, it sounds like there may be significant cost to get that up to code for that number of houses. Just based on the pictures I saw, it appears that it's gonna take a lot.
County engineer said the possibility, a traffic study may indicate that the road needed to be curved and guttered. That would be the developer's cost. He also said that there's a possibility that even though 2 access points are required, they're access points that are required for fire access. And it could be that the one on Ben Putnam Road is only an entrance for fire only, not for residents to leave out of or residents to come into. It's for the fire department, or emergency vehicles to access from Ben Putnam only. Everyone else would have to go out onto South Easy Highway. That's just 2 possibilities.
they'd have to purchase right away to widen the roads too, no?
The county couldn't do that. That would be eminent domain. We would not do that. They would have to widen the road.
Just to the 18,
Just
to 18, 20 feet?
Well, yes, that's correct. The average width is 19 feet.
And then they would have to build a turnaround for public vehicles too. I mean, they couldn't,
Turn around where?
to turn around and get back out of Ben Putnam Road for any kind of, say, fire trucks or anything.
The end.
It to be a, you know, an 80-foot turnaround somewhere. Yeah.
But that would be the city engineer's issue.
County,
Or county engineers, sorry, county.
The point of my question was that there could be very significant cost. And very significant cost.
I have heard a lot of opposition into the project. However, I'm familiar with the builders, and they have done, it's a project on the south end of the county, close to Valley Point, and they did what the county required. I understand that a lot of people don't want to change the neighborhood, but they're meeting all the requirements for us to approve this proposal. It still has to go to the county commissioners and to the engineers for them to decide what to do. It's true that I have heard the south end of the county sometimes complaining that nothing good happened in the county, that it's all manufacturing and this. It sounds like a good project. Like I said, I'm familiar with the builder because they have built some in Withrow County. So I make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Jody seconds. Octavio makes a motion, and Jody seconds to approve. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. I think there's enough conditions there that we don't have to add anything.
Yeah, if it's the conditions that they,
Let's go through the
Once-
process, yeah.
through the
Well,
process.
And the county engineer is going to figure out.
The decision is out to the county commissioners.
Yeah.
We can only go with what they presented now, based on.
All right, let's move on. Robert Keck, back to,
Move approved.
Chris
Second.
makes a motion, Jody seconds. All in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Let me just throw this out. Next one is Appalachian Builders. This is one, 5 duplexes or 4 duplexes. Roosevelt Drive.
No, Robert Deck.
Excuse me?
Robert Deck could be number one.
Robert Keck, we just did.
Yeah, we're Appalachian Builders.
So we're up to item B.
No,
We did that one?
We did West Brown.
Yeah, that was first one. The
Did it
second one
first,
was
then we went back to the top.
Yeah.
And we just did that one.
Robert Deck is already done?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I voted on the,
Okay, Appalachian Builders.
I move we approve.
Chris makes a motion to approve. It was,
That was,
second one, that's the one behind Toyota.
yeah.
Anybody else second?
second. Go ahead, Octavia.
Octavio seconds, Chris first. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the ayes have it. It's approved. Okay, Michael Stafford, this is just looking at conforming status, that's all.
You
Vote
too.
to approve.
Octavio makes a motion, Jody seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, approval. The ayes have it. Noah Sigala to, this one is in the county. It is a new trailer. It's
Move to
conforming.
approve.
Jody makes a motion, Octavio seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Chris, you okay?
Oh, aye. I was reading.
The ayes have it unanimously. Okay, jumping over E to F, that is the equestrian arena. He's not gonna do poultry, can we,
Move to be approved.
Second.
Octavio first, Chris seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. That is Derek Hicks.
Move approve.
Oh, wait a minute, wait. That was one we just did.
Oh, sorry.
Just saying it out loud.
Where are we
Oh,
now?
wait.
Where are we?
Ethan, you with us?
You're in G? Yes, sir.
Stephen Ridley?
Moving fast here.
I was thinking barn.
Steve Ridley, the new mobile home, R2 to R5.
Move to approve.
Octavio moves to approve.
Second.
Chris seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Angela Langley, this is the one looking for the CUVA. I think we should put a restriction on it, personally.
What's the process if somebody came along and said, I want to buy this piece of property, and they want to put a poultry farm? Is there, just because it's general agriculture, is it, as long as the poultry company's okay with it, it can go? There's no additional review or anything of that nature? Okay.
So her intent is not to do anything, but there's no restrictions to prevent her.
Where are we waiting? I need to approve.
You move to approve? Yeah. Octavio moves to
No
approve.
restrictions?
With no restrictions?
We can approve restrictions. That
We
would
could,
be
we,
under-
we could add restrictions.
We can, can't we?
Okay.
We can add a restriction? Yes.
I mean, you can add,
We can limit,
Specifically limit concentrated animal feeding operations, and that
okay.
captures everything, high intensity.
but what would that still allow her to do? I mean, could she still,
Cattle, horses,
You just can't have a commercial
True act.
swine lot or chicken houses. Commercial, and she could have, small chicken coop and things like that, but she couldn't have a commercial poultry operation or hog lot, commercial
Okay, so
operation.
what was your wording, Ethan?
concentrated animal feeding operations, or commercial poultry and swine operations.
yeah.
Anybody?
Is that the procedure? The lady's not here anymore, is it?
No, she left.
She said she didn't want, if it's not, if she's gonna have conditions and she wants to rezone it.
She wanted no conditions. She's not sure with what she's gonna do with the property.
She's probably gonna sell the property.
For somebody, 'cause she wants it to be able to be
So if
sold to
we-
whoever.
When she sells the property, then the poultry company will have to come at that point, if that's what is gonna be taking place.
Well, that's what I asked. If it's general agriculture, and she sells it to someone who wanted to do a chicken house, as long as, Pilgrims or whomever said, hey, we want to put a house here, then there's no additional approval process that the county looks at. It's at that point, whether or not the poultry company wants to do the lot.
Yeah, but the county has restrictions already on the poultry.
No, that was just in the city limits of Dalton and Varnell.
It's only the city of Dalton.
Yeah, this is, in unincorporated Whitfield County, that's an okay purpose if.
What I'm
poultry
saying
company-
is, that's the reason why I would like for her to be here, because if we denied or put conditions on, she will have to come back if she sell the property at that point.
Only if they want to build it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I'm
It
saying
would
is,
restrict her, that's,
well, she said she didn't want to rezone it if it was gonna be restricted.
Did she say that?
Yeah.
Well, she said she.
I don't know did I hear her say she wouldn't rezone it? She just requested that there be no.
She doesn't want any restrictions
she
on it.
just said she didn't want restrictions. I didn't hear her say, like
Yeah.
you.
I don't think she put the stipulation out that
I think she just,
it's either all or nothing, but,
That's pretty
She's
much
not-
what I hear, all or nothing. So
and she's not here to.
she's not here to clarify that, so we either have to table that or
No?
no.
We can't table it
Okay.
now.
Then I withdraw my motion. Let you decide.
In our recommendation, can we simply say, I mean, because all we're doing is making a recommendation to the county commissioners.
Our recommendation could be that it be rezoned general agriculture with a condition prohibiting commercial
And she
feed
can take
operations.
her opposition to that to the county commissioners meeting.
County commissioners would either go with our recommendation, or they would remove the condition and
Remove the
approve her
condition.
request. Either way.
Is that right? Okay. I make a motion that we approve with those two conditions of no chicken or poultry or swine. And then if she, and I assume she'll dispute that at the county commissioners meeting.
Obviously,
See,
you're not
we
getting a
got a
second
second.
here. Right.
What's your reasoning for a property that's historically been used that to limit its use now? I'm torn on this one. I see both sides.
You have to
Well-
choose a side.
Yeah, I know.
You can go
Well,
both sides.
the thing is, it's R2 now, which is quite doable, I mean, for the neighborhood, right?
Well, to go from low-density, single-family residential to chicken houses
Yeah, that's a
is
big
a
step.
stretch for me.
I second. Your
So,
motion.
you got that, Ethan? First by Jody, second by Chris, all in favor to
Aye.
approved with the restrictions, say aye.
Yeah.
All opposed?
But that was my reasoning. It's just a
You abstaining?
big jump.
You
do you think?
abstaining?
No, I'll go with.
Go
whatever you
approval?
decide.
Okay, that's
And that
unanimous,
area is a lot different than it was
unanimous, Ethan?
30 years ago.
Yep. Okay. All right, Crow Road Holdings. On Waring Road, this is Brandon. He's probably gonna put what he can on there. I'm not sure of the topography, how it backs up to North Oaks or not. But he would have to have some sort of buffer.
Well, this would be the same thing. The county will have to decide. I don't see any reason to decline it at this point. So I move to reapprove.
Octavia makes a motion to approve. Anybody want a second?
I'll second. Do
Chris,
you,
second.
do you sell those, or do you rent them yourself after you build them?
Depends.
All right,
Yeah.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Full approval there. Okay, and the last one is Cody Spence. This one is on, not Northview, but Cumberland. He wants to put a duplex in, but I think he was willing to put
Either way, she's
either way. I would personally,
I move to deny it.
Octavia moves to deny. All, second?
Second.
Jody seconds. All in favor of denial, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. And it is denied. Okay, plat review.
Oh, please.
Thank you for coming. It's going to be a nasty one next month otherwise. I know. They can do that.
The county, if they have to build more roads, they have to build. They have
Oh,
to
they
have
do.
more
They got
streets.
This property is in the county, down at the south end,
Mm-hmm.
near Carbondale, near the business park. It's a subdivision
Sherwood.
called Sherwood Forest.
Yeah, all the streets are named after Robert. Yeah.
That's a big road.
Yes, and this is on sewer.
Oh, it's in sewer, okay.
This will be on sewer.
If it's in sewer, it's
Well,
okay with me.
let me see, now, was it signed by,
Connector 3 can get sewer, and I can't, and I'm only a mile. Just smell.
public sewer comes down 41 until they.
If you had sewer, right?
So anyway, that's what they were wanting to do, is subdivide it into lots. But the reason I'm bringing it to you is because they've exceeded the 4-to-1
Ratio.
the depth ratio. But you can see
Oh.
on the southern part of the property, there is
Branch.
state waters, and they're having to have a 25-foot buffer against those state waters. So the south end of their property is useless anyway. So if we look at the usable property.
Take that out, it would
certainly-
be okay.
Yeah, if we take that out, it'd be okay.
I move we approve.
Second?
Second.
There. Jody, 1 and 2, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it unanimously.
There's one more?
Okay, that's two more. Okay, I'm gonna hand these to you and let you sign them, okay?
She didn't tell you that, did she? She didn't tell you that. She's got 3 of them.
This is in the city, up behind the hospital. Randy Duckett owns this property. City sewer, city water.
Yeah.
Been signed off by everybody. What he wants to do here is build a fourplex. And in order to do that and be able to sell them individually as
Deeded
townhomes,
separately.
he has to divide them out. So that's what this plat is about, showing 4 separate lots. They'll have firewalls in between them. People will own from the road to the back of their property.
Yeah, okay. Kind of, there's a few of those over
Yeah,
here.
there's some
They're
right next door.
Yeah,
Anyway, he's having to do it and you're having to review it because it's in the city.
go for it.
He has not shown any kind of stormwater.
Oh, well,
You'd be surprised
Yeah.
when
Okay.
it comes to the permitting stage.
Octavio
Well-
first.
would that be after?
That will be up to the city public works department. And when I had them sign this plat, I asked them, what were they gonna do about stormwater? And they said, they'll make that decision when he applies for a permit, so
All right. So,
that may come as a shock to them. All right, one last.
approval?
Yes.
Chris, first.
Second.
Jody, seconds. All in favor of approval? Say aye.
This is one that I talked to Chris about a while ago. Hey, you wanna come up? This is, Brian Sutherland. This is some property up off of Highway 2,
Thank you.
east of Coahulla Creek High School. You've seen some property that Brian has
Yeah.
subdivided before to the south. Large acreage lots. There's a flag lot, which needs approval by you. There's also the second lot, the one in the middle exceeds the 4-to-1 depth to width ratio, so that's gonna be approved by you also. But the problem here is that when Brian went to get signatures today, there was no one at Dalton Utilities. There was no one at the Environmental Health Department. So we're asking you to approve it conditionally on him getting those signatures on the plat. And if he doesn't, then it won't be approved.
So moved.
Go for
These
it.
are very large acreage
Yeah.
lots, though. We know there's public water there. Chances are they can get a septic system on lots that large, so.
What about this lot to the east here? Is it access somewhere? or-
Yeah, right
It's
here.
50 feet.
Yeah, that's
It's-
what
Oh, I
it
it's
is.
see.
56
Oh, I got you.
feet,
There, I was looking up
width
top.
there.
Gotcha.
So conditionally on this one, please.
Conditionally upon getting the other signatures.
Yes.
Right, the other signatures,
So
Environmental
moved.
Health Department
Tony?
and Dalton Utilities for water.
You're my neighbor.
Oh, poor guy.
Okay, Jody first. Octavio,
Second.
second. All in favor, say aye.
I'm giving these back to Brian, he's gonna get signatures.
Jody?
and then we'll see.
Jody and
Kinda
Octavio.
neighbor.
All in favor, say aye. All opposed?
I'm on the other side of Walnut Hill. Y'all are kind of, yeah.
Once you bring it back to me, I'll get, you can get these.
Okay. All in favor of adjourning?
Yep.
Say aye.
Poor guy.
Oh, you can't stand up?
Steph, you sit there for
I'm
3
still-
hours.
Yeah.
Come on.
Hold up.
It's only been 2 hours.
Come on. These are the kids.
Yeah.
It don't matter. I think once you get to be a certain age, it just don't matter.
All right, thanks, guys. Till next month. Thank you, Ethan.
See you later. Y'all got
kill that out.
Probably get killed outside.
Yes, sir. Thanks, Eva. Thank you.
On these packages, I know you have a lot to do, and it's time between the packages and the meetings. Where do they, I mean, do we have to put a cutout line earlier?
Well, it's just been coming down to when we get 10 or 15, or 10 or 8 or 10 that are taking a lot of time. It's hard to get them done like we used to a week in advance. I've been pushed pretty hard to get them done.
I understand that part.
I definitely get I like, the electronic notices usually go out. It's just a lot of times getting up here to get the hard copies. And I've been hand delivering because I know the mail's not going to get them in hand.
And I probably one of the ones that don't use the electronic. I hate to read all of that.
I understand. That's why I still want to print them off. And one of the problems is it takes about 3 hours to get when you've got 10 items, it takes several hours just to print the darn things out.
What I'm saying is, we can put a cutoff 1 week early.
In terms of when you want the.
No, it's, she,
Oh, the deadline for application?
that's correct.
Well,
I mean, and I'm on both sides. You know, sometimes I need something approved, but, I mean,
you don't have time to look at it before the meeting. I completely
yeah,
understand.
it just, and I like to really, I mean, I don't like to just read it, and a lot of times I go out and look at the property. But sometimes I don't have.
Would it help if I get you the agenda sooner so that you can see the address, the request? Would that help you kind of be thinking
No
about
question
things?
about it. If you give me the agenda, I don't need.
I can give you that a month ahead,
Great,
if that would help.
yeah.
And you can always call me. If you look at the agenda and you say, what are you thinking? I can verbalize most things. It just takes so long to type it out the long way. But if that's okay with you,
That would
I'll
help.
just start sending that out to everybody and say, next month, here's our agenda. Because we've already got the agenda for next month.